Well, as you can see, we have a second half of the Q postings today. I gotta love this. I'll tell you, I just love it. So let's crank it up. There's a security test up front. He posted both onto the 8chan and onto his own channel. And there's only one important one, which is at the end, and we'll take a look at that. There's an anonymous question in 721. Whether Red October is the submarine or Red October is the cyber espionage campaign or something else. Q said future news will highlight, note, the hunt for was dropped, and then says details matter. Someone over the last couple days gave me a bad time because I made a comment at the outset, hey look, I can't put brackets in because YouTube won't let me attach Q posts with the brackets in it. And the guy got all over me because I was wasting his time. Well, as Q points out, details matter. And the brackets really truly matter because it amounts to a kill box, a close-in, or it amounts, the arrows tell us what things are going to what or what's greater than the other, and I can't put any of those on. So next. Another anonymous person put in a comment about Operation Mockingbird and noting that North Korea is a CIA Blacksite, and asked everybody to take a look to see who is glorifying North Korea and among the journalists, and Q attaches that and goes through a series of questions. I'm not sure that I need to look at all of them. It is in number 722. Please feel free to take a look at it. I am going to attach it at the bottom. But there are some questions here. Why is North Korea participating in the Olympic Games this year? Why are they doing it together? Why is Kim Jong-un's sister with Vice President Pence? This is a really important question. Ask yourself, if controlled, how might you protect yourself and look for a way out? So the question I think poses, and it's a serious question, what did Kim Jong-un look for toward saving himself if he was squeezed in the middle? And what would be, and then he goes on, what would be a distraction? Why are the Koreas working together? What happened before the Olympic Games? And of course Trump went to China. And the question then is, how did someone get freed? And I'm taking that to mean Kim Jong-un, and the CIA is maybe not overseeing what's going on with North Korea any longer, and perhaps not with operations in China. But I mean, how much have you heard about North Korea in the last month or 6 weeks? And thank goodness that seems to have dispelled. And then it goes on to talk about what amounts to a serious false flag, basically saying, who wants war? We don't want war. Does North Korea want war? No, they don't want war. So who wants war? So let me give you the most serious, deep, shadow government comment about this that you can possibly get. You go back to about 1815, the wife of the 5 Rothschilds that moved all over Europe to expand their banking empire. The mother of those 5, excuse me, not the wife, the mother of those 5 said, if my sons do not want war, then there will not be war. Do you get that? I mean, it's really important. Basically what it amounts to is this war that was proposed, the false flags around it, all the little false flags, the terrorist false flags, the Iraqi stuff, the teardown of the Middle East is not anything that any of us are doing. It's strings that are, it is made up of strings that are being pulled because it benefits somebody else. And I'll have a bigger discussion about that at some other time. But take this from the little incident and the little items and the Korean stuff and the Olympics all the way back to the 1800s and before, and say, all right, what has made this world crazy for 250 years? And there you have it. And it seems to me, and one of the things that gives me the greatest encouragement is Q is on it, from the little tiny stuff, from the little games, the airplane crashes, the rest of the stuff, and I'm not making light of people dying, all the way to the big folks, to the Saudis, to Soros, the Rothschilds, the bankers, and the rest of that. So we have some sense that if we clean the swamp, we'll get clear to the bottom of it and get the dragons. So it is a false flag. So basically what Q says, and this answers also the frustration earlier today, where a lot of the people that are following say, you know, what the hell's going on? Why are we not seeing stuff? And what the comment is, those who cannot understand that we cannot simply start arresting without first ensuring the safety and well-being of the population, 1, shifting the narrative, 2, that's really important, removing those in DC through resignation to ensure success, defeating ISIS and MS-13 to prevent fail-safes, freezing assets, which goes back to the December 21st executive order, which potentially freezes assets top to bottom, big guys, little guys, major corporations, partnerships, foundations. It can shut it all down. To remove network-to-network abilities, kill off COC, and I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, to prevent top-down comms, orgs, etc. should not be participating in discussion. So feel free to put that down. I'll put it on the top cover or put it in my narrative at the outset so we get it. The next question is, this is something I got wrong earlier, although that person was also on the plane. One of the Anons asked, is Vyacheslav Pershukov, let me get this right, Vyacheslav Pershukov is a Rosatom special representative, and it goes into thermonuclear experimental reactor, ITER, and this Russia stuff. He was a big boy, and he disappeared. So that may go back to the uranium-1. It may also go back to the false narratives, the dossier, and the rest of that. So this guy could be at the back of a lot of this stuff. And that's what we got earlier today. The next one is really interesting. I'm not sure that why it links. There was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that's all that's on the next Q thing. So she had a talk today at Columbia University, and in the discussion she said, sexism and the macho atmosphere helped doom Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. We have to know that she is an 84-year-old Supreme Court Associate Justice. She's been there for a long time. She has had serious health problems. I don't know that that's the point of this, but she made this comment. I think it was difficult for Hillary Clinton to get by even the macho atmosphere prevailing during the campaign, and she was criticized in a way that I think no man would have been criticized, Ginsburg said during a discussion at Columbia University. I guess no one feels that Trump was criticized. Certainly the mainstream media kept hands off and never gave him a hard time. If you believe that, I got a place on Mars for you. The next one is a timestamp, Snowden, Truth to Power, and drop Truth to Power. So Snowden is a guy who made comments about Janagur, who was let me get this right, I must have dropped it. Yeah, here we are. Asma Jilani Janagur was a Pakistani lawyer, a human rights lawyer, who and a social activist who co-founded and chaired the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. She was widely known for playing a prominent role in the lawyers' movement. She spoke at Columbia as well, which is kind of interesting. And in 2014, she received the Right of Livelihood Award along with Edward Snowden. So there's a linkage to you if there's any reason for it. But in any case, she passed away in the last day or so. So there are timestamps and comments in multiple of these postings that say you will cease to exist, and I think it all references Snowden. one of the things that you need to note, and this is part of the problem with Q, I mean, in addition to the fact that it's political, it's physical, it's undercover, it's CIA, it's historical, it has to do with money and banking and military, and it takes into account all of these pieces. In addition to that, it's like Mark Twain or Alice in Wonderland. It's a kid's story, that's an adult story, that's a political story, that's an intrigue story. So it says things to different people at different levels, and part of what it is saying is directly to these people. And so when Q talks about clowns or Snowden or others, we think that we're getting the message, but we may not be the only one that is the intended recipient for it. And there may be very good reasons why we don't understand it, but somebody at some other level does. Either insiders, NSA, CIA, or some of the people that used to be hunters and now are being hunted. So pay attention to that. So, and another anonymous said, "You will cease to exist, truth to power. How's the bunker these days?" And then it has 14 live. Hello. PEOC, which of course is the Presidential Emergency Operations Center. So one of the people that posted on my channel, and I give credence for it, I apologize, I don't know that person's name, said, "Hey, look, we're supposed to mirror this. What if we mirrored 14 in brackets live and flipped it? What does it become? Evil brackets 41. Well, evil brackets 41 is an evil 41st president in the kill box. And I don't know that that happens to H.W. Bush, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, except perhaps his kid or the next person we're going to talk about. So we've got a lot of this stuff on this timestamp, truth to power, and then there's a coincidence, Barlow, and it keeps going back to Barlow, and I think there is something to be said for the fact that he may have been taken out, and that Snowden, who was working with him and who worked through him, is still a clown and maybe took him out because Barlow had inside information. They said he died of heart problems, heart sickness, but what did he die from? So my cover picture has John McCain sitting with a bunch of Muslims, and there is a comment here that Q makes, which is 729 and is flipped on to number 85 of his own. "We don't say his name to primetime. Wonder if his so-called illness condition will flare up." That's a comment to him. It's a comment to others. It's a comment to us. He is not a war hero, which of course President Trump said. He is a mega millionaire, and it gives comments about the McCain Institute and the $100,000 donors, who include the Aranda Rothschild Foundation, Evelyn and Lynn Forrester Day Rothschild, which you obviously know, and the GE Foundation, the McCain Presidential Campaign, he obviously had money left over, and McCain Institute Foundation, which has received millions of dollars. Among others, there was also the Walmart folks and some others. Howard Buffett Foundation gave him money for North Kivu Democracy Project. The Transatlantic Research and Debate was generously supported by a grant from the European Union, and the McCain Institute has received 2 anonymous donations in support of its effort countering human trafficking. Well, if you believe that one, I got another place in Mars for you. So there are some questions about McCain's Institute, one of which is, in 2012, the Institute received $88,600,000, and yet in 2012 spent $500,000. In 13, they got $1,300,000 and contributed $500,000 out. In 2014, they got contributions of in excess of what they got. In 14 it was $1,300,000. In 13, again, they only contributed $500,000, and in 14 they contributed basically what they got. So they were supposed to give a lot of money, and they're supposed to be working on human trafficking, right? And they got millions of dollars for it. But the only beneficiary of the McCain Institute is Arizona State University Foundation. And so why is McCain taking money from people and taking credit for stuff and not doing anything? And I call him Jockstrap McStain. And as a person now living in Arizona who thought he was a hero many years ago, discounted the whole Keating affair, thought he was a naive guy that maybe got caught up in stuff, thought he was a maverick when he first ran against little Georgie Bush, little shrubby Bush, but realized that he was just a copy stamp of little Georgie Bush in 2008 when he ran against Obama, realized that there was nothing truthful about him. And finally, and so what do I have to say about Jockstrap McStain? Well, nothing good. Absolutely nothing good. He is a traitor. He's a traitor in the deepest sense. Not merely that he broke in Vietnam, not merely that he made a mistake with the billions of dollars that the Keating bunch got out of the savings and loan, including the Bushes and others. Not merely because he was messing around in Texas and a bunch of other places where people made billions and millions and the taxpayers paid for it, but because he is now, if he hasn't always been, working with the darkest part, with the shadow government, with the nastiest part of everything that we are against. And finally, there's a comment, number 86, which is on his private channel, United Airlines to Guantanamo Bay, question mark. How do we transport, right? What airline check-in counter at PVG T2 is located at E? And then it says there was a picture. Well, numerous people have said that that was at Vietnam and that McCain was there. Why is this relevant? Well, one of the things that one might say, and I'm not absolutely certain of it, but the pieces that go together are McCain was there, United Air, Gitmo. So if that's in fact the truth, how much better does it get than that? The traitor may have found his new home, and the irony of this, and this is part of what might be Red October, is that the missile that they have struck against us, all of us, that they sent out in 2001, the 9/11 stuff, all of the things about the Patriot Act, the Freedom Act, and the courts are now being turned. The executive orders, the powers, the emergencies can now be turned, and that missile is now turned on the people who turned it on us. And it may actually strike the people we want most to have hit. So thank you so much. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. I'm trying to stay on it. This is a matter of pieces, folks. Nobody gets all of this, and it's a running project where future proves past. Sometimes we're here in the present, which will soon be the past, and the future will prove it. But some of us might not know all of the pieces. And I can spend, as some others do, 2 or 3 or 4 hours talking about it and covering all the bases, but you still won't know all the facts. You're only going to know so much. So what my approach to this is, for what it's worth, is to take the best shot one has, to run with it, to recognize, as I did earlier today, that I got the wrong guy on the airplane. Oh well, so what did that cost us? Nothing. We regroup, we grab the rest of the pieces, we pick it all up, we put it back together. So that's my approach to it, an attempt to see all the layers from the bottom to the top, see the little stuff that's going on, and take a look at who's pulling the strings to make those little things go on. And what I'm fascinated about is that Q seems to be operating at all of these levels, at all of them. That if in fact this stuff shakes out, all of these levels are going to be impacted, because that's the approach that's been taken. So I'm very encouraged. Thanks so much.